Hello. I am. Let me take my earphone out. I can't even hear myself. I am at the train station waiting for a train. I literally just closed down the vlog, so I'm wearing the same thing, and I pretty much explained what I'm doing today in that vlog as well. But in case you didn't watch it, I am going to a magazine shop. There are no good magazine shops near to where I live, and so I'm doing a little bit of a 10 toes to collect some good magazines. I collect magazines. Well, I haven't added to the collection for years, but I have a thing about magazines, and so I am on my Christmas/New Year's break, and I'm just doing things to kind of restore my soul a little bit. 60 minutes away from said magazine shop is the British Library. Something that I was looking to do in the new year actually, but why not now? I've got my laptop because I want to finish editing a video. As I said, I'm on a Christmas New Year break, and so I'm not writing at the moment. The train is approaching. I'm going to do some editing on the train because the train journey is like 45 minutes. £30 and 2 magazines. I think that later on in the week, or even next week, we'll do the part of the trip where we go to the British Library, but for right now, I don't know what it was. I think it was the journey over here that just made me feel incredibly overstimulated, and now I just feel weird and I just want to be at home, so. I never really film at this time of day, so it's a little bit odd, but it is Tuesday. It is 10 to 6. I have been sleeping pretty much all day. Well, not all day, but important to get a few naps in, I feel. Anyway, I'm wearing a gym top because I'm about to go to the gym, actually. I wasn't going to. Well, I don't know. I was going to go before I went for a nap, and I was just like, let's just be for real. I need to go to sleep. So I'm going to go to the gym, and I think I'm going to do upper body. So, and maybe a run. Goodness, who knows? I thought maybe to help me wake up a little bit, we could go through the magazines I brought yesterday. I brought a magazine called Afternoon, and it's their first publication since 2020. So apparently this magazine used to be called Noon. The rules were very loose, and it kind of just published whatever they wanted within the creative space. It says that on the sticker 01. So the first publication for a little while. The cover is what drew me in. The cover is very much my vibe. It reminds me of what I was doing on Tumblr in 2012 onwards, in terms of the sort of pictures I used to gravitate to. A very stylish old woman in a graphic tee that's slightly politically motivated. And she's got cool nails. Her nails are actually the Palestinian flag. This was £18. It's relatively, well, it's not massively thick, because you know how you can get quite thick magazines in these like niche magazine stores, but it's £18. And I brought it because it's a very beautiful magazine, and as I've said, I have a thing about magazines. So I and ahed, to be fair, and then I just kind of bit the bullet and brought it because I just thought, if not now, when? Paper inside is like a mixture of gloss and like paper. Like, it's just very sorry. it has that new sort of magazine smell that kind of gets in your nose a little bit. It's got a mixture of like photography, handwritten notes, short stories, and then the only other magazine that I brought was The Atlantic. The Atlantic is very hard to find in the UK, and so most of its readers over here just subscribe to its digital version. I mean, you can subscribe and get them to send the print version to your house, but if you're not going to like a magazine store, then it's kind of hard to find The Atlantic. And so I brought a physical copy because I haven't yet bitten the bullet to subscribe to the digital version. The version that sends you the physical copy is significantly more. And I've read The Atlantic in bits and pieces, like as far as like the free subscription will allow, and I like it. It's kind of, in part, I guess, just the way that they manage their cultural / political / current affairs commentary kind of reminds me a little bit of what I try to do with Crushball, so that's why I brought it. This is what I was looking for. This was like the publication I was looking for. That and The Face, actually, and then I ended up just getting Afternoon. I would have to order The Face online and get them to send it to my house if I wanted it, and I might do that still. I also have this season's Tate magazine, which I get sent because I'm a member. I haven't gone through that yet either. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym. I don't really want to, but I think I owe it to myself actually to go to the gym. And so I'm going to do that because future me will be pleased. And then I'm going to make myself some wonton soup. Or gyoza soup. I don't know why I said wonton. I brought some gyoza from the supermarket. And then I have some chicken stock defrosting downstairs from when we made the chicken broth the last time. And so I'm going to make a soup out of it. And I brought some udon noodles as well. And I've got some pak choy downstairs I brought yesterday. So I have dinner waiting for me, whether I run or not. Do I need to put my headband forwards? Got a green tea here with some added lemon juice, something zingy, something to like get me to focus, because we are about to get into my 2025 favourites. I thought, sorry, my hair, I hate when I wear my hair like this because I just feel like every hair needs to be in place, which is just not realistic. Yeah, I wanted to do some 2025 favourites, namely the things that I read this year, the things I went to go and see, exhibition-wise, art-wise, maybe a little bit of what I watched as well. It's not going to be like a super extensive list, but it was a nice way to kind of round off this vlog, the last vlog of the year. I haven't left the house since Christmas. I'm going to go and get my nails done after we've had this one-way conversation. I think I'm going to go for a red this time. For whatever reason, whenever I get green nails, they get noticed and they get quite a few compliments from all sorts of people, but I have ran them into the ground. Anyway, I'm going to start with books. My two favourite books of the year are non-fiction books. Should we start with the obvious? Let's start with The White Album by Jane Didion. This battered well-worn, much-loved book, which I read, when did I read this? In the summer, which is nice because a lot of the book is based in California. Slouching Towards Bethlehem, which was, I think, the first, well, it was definitely written before this book, the former essay collection that Jane Didion did that I have behind me somewhere. I got it the other day. That book had a lot of my favourite Jane Didion essays in it. It had Goodbye to All That, Letters from Paradise, Self-Respect. A lot of those essays are featured in that book. This book is like a running commentary of like the mania of the 60s / early 70s. It's a commentary on American culture and American sort of activity in the larger world. As always with Jane Didion, I feel like the reason I like her writing a lot is because it validates my like melancholic disposition, which I don't know if that kind of carries on this channel, but the overall book has like quite a hazy sort of numb feel. It kind of matches the way that you would feel going through the motions, like through a very transitional period in like your own personal life. Maybe you're like transitioning from like your 20s to your 30s, or your teens to your 20s, or you're moving out, or you've just finished studying. It just has that sort of, it would be a comfort, I think, to you if you were going through something quite transitional. I think the White Album, that the essay that opens this book, is my favourite. Second book of the year is a book I've had for a very long time, which I've kind of read intermittently through my uni years to now, sort of, but it's the first time I sat down and kind of read it pretty much from start to finish, and that is The Missing by Andrew O'Hagan. I've spoken about this book so many times on this channel. It is a book about London's missing persons crisis, and England at large, I'd say maybe the UK, but it's mainly based in London. The book is split in two parts. The first part is like a memoir about Andrew O'Hagan's grandfather. He went missing at sea. In the second part is Andrew O'Hagan's investigative work about the missing person crisis in the 90s and the early 2000s. This book really scratches a nostalgic itch. If you are my age, maybe a little bit older, you'll remember what London was like in the noughties. The old, sticky, retro, artificially lit sort of vibe of London before smartphones or like technological developments that have kind of made it the city it is today. And just that anonymous sort of feel. It's a city that you can easily get lost in, hence like the subject matter of this book. You could wander around and not speak to anybody for days despite being surrounded by like throngs and throngs of people. And that is what this book gets across really well. Goes into a little bit of the Fred West story, which was in like the 60s and different parts of like the later 20th century, through the lens of his victims and the fact that they were first kind of dismissed as missing people and their cases weren't really investigated. Really loved this book, and whenever I think about it, I will think about 2025. Honourable mention, I've got notes here because I wanted to like be quite thorough. The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. It's like a inch thick. You could really read it in like one afternoon. It's a short story. It's a really good story for understanding how spiritual warfare works. It's a Christian book. It's a short story based at the beginning of the Second World War from the point of view of two demons trying to find quite creative ways to discourage a new Christian. I have a few essays as well that I think when I look back at them they will remind me of this year, and they've kind of characterised the year for me. The first one is On the Islands by Jane Didion. It was in the White Album, and it is essentially about Hawaii, its relationship with rich white vacationing Americans in the 60s and 70s, and how it's kind of evolved from the earlier part of the 20th century, and it's also like has the Vietnam War as a backdrop. It's just not a part of the world nor a period of history that I would have otherwise been exposed to if I had not read it in that book, and I think that's what Jane Didion's really good for. Teaching Men Who Will Never Leave Prison by Brooke Allen, who was a teacher at a New York prison which is now shut, but it was about her time teaching prisoners who were serving full life sentences. That was one of my favourite essays that I read, and I read it for a essay that I wrote about ChatGPT, which sounds unrelated, but I will link it somewhere. It was good for understanding a little bit more about prison dynamics, how education plays a role, how education makes prisoners look to their fellow inmates, how education is used to kind of pass the time, but also kind of reimagining what the word productive means when you're serving a life sentence. This isn't an essay, this is like a documentary, but it's called Hypernormalization, and it is a 3-hour long documentary that I found on BBC iPlayer, but there's also a link to it on YouTube, by British filmmaker journalist Adam Curtis. And it is about, in short, how we ended up here in regards to like the systems and the historical events often overlooked and underreported that led us to a place where we're electing people that we wouldn't have elected like 20 plus years ago. How the stage has been set for those individuals, particularly in the Western world, but just also across Europe and just internationally actually. It's beautifully done. For those of us who like a nice looking film. Adam Curtis has done a few other films and series that are quite similar. They kind of deal with conspiracy theories for people who think they're too good to associate themselves with conspiracy theories. That's how I describe Adam Curtis's work. But that is a good documentary if you're looking for a good documentary. My favourite essays of the ones that I've written this year, well, I've got 4. The first one is the ChatGPT essay that I mentioned earlier, which is about our evolving dynamic of ChatGPT and how we've started to use it as a friend and also a bit like a parent as well, I would say, and where we expect to go from here, essentially. Another one is the last one that I wrote, which is about changing your mind, the taboo and the stigma that surrounds changing your mind publicly and also privately, and a willingness to admit that you've kind of shifted positions or you've outgrown certain opinions even to yourself. That is the last essay that I wrote this year, and it ended up being one of my favourites, which is nice. Another one is one that I wrote not too long ago called The Erosion of Consensus. It's about losing the ability to discern an opinion from a declaration of truth, and how we kind of share our opinions online while increasingly omitting buzzwords that make it very clear that what we're stating is an opinion and not a fact. And then my favourite devotional is one called The Heart is Desperately Sick, which was the very first devotional that I wrote in 2025. It was based on Jeremiah 17:9, which is about the heart being deceitful, a source of inner deception. It was essentially about how our own hearts get in the way of us accepting God's words and what is written in the Bible and what he says to us on like a individual personal level, and how our hearts kind of intercept those messages sometimes to doubt them or discredit them without us even knowing. But it was a really interesting one. It was something that I was dealing with and was kind of explaining why I was struggling with like doubt and just general anxieties around believing and accepting the things that I felt God was speaking to me about. Favourite exhibitions of the year. The first one was the Face magazine's exhibition. I went to go and see it at the, I want to say it was a National Portrait Gallery. That was my favourite exhibition of the year actually, because I love magazines. I collect magazines. And it was just like a immersive exhibition filled with magazine covers, magazine photo shoots, magazine concepts. It was a very vibrant and visually satisfying exhibition. It definitely scratched an itch. Speaking of vibrant, my second favourite exhibition was the one by Kerry James Marshall that was at the Royal Academy of Arts, which we went to go see the other day. It was the last exhibition I've seen this year. Very integral interpretation and representation of blackness, I would say, down to the use of black paint and various shades of black, which I didn't know existed, to get across black skin tones. Kerry James Marshall has been creating art for a very long time, so he's interpreted quite a few different moments within the African American story and identity at large. I love colour. Generally speaking, I love a lot of colour, and so I like artists who use a lot of colour. So yeah, that was my second favourite one. I'm gonna go and get my nails done. And I think that the vlog might end here. Happy New Year to all of you who are watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you if you have been watching all year. And yeah, I would do like a whole thing of reflecting on 2025, but I think I'm going to put that in the first vlog of the year. It's been a very valuable year for me. I think that I've grown up a lot. I hope that's the same for you. I hope you've got some space to reflect on this year and how it's gone for you. You've made a lot of notes throughout the year, or you're going to sit down and like, I don't know, write something out. Even if you're not a writer, just open that notes app and let it all hang out in there, which I feel like we all do anyway. But I will see you in 2026.